What's up, my friends? I'm back again, as I said I would be, to talk again about the 30-day Vibe Challenge. And I'm super excited, guys. We're 5 days away from beginning our Vibe Challenge, and this is going to be an incredible opportunity for so many people to transform their health, to transform their body, and really get back to the basics and start doing things and implementing healthy habits that actually move the needle in our life. Okay. So for today, just like the past few lives that I've been doing for the past few days, we're going to touch on specifics today when it comes to the gut health specifically, because this is one of those things that people talk about, they throw around, but a lot of people don't really understand exactly what is the gut. How do we improve our gut, and what are some common gut disruptors that really hurt our gut microbiome, that hurt our ability to create and maintain a strong foundation of health. Okay, so number one, let's talk about what exactly is the gut. Because I know a lot of people think about the gut as just the stomach or just the intestines, right? But the fact is that your gut starts in your mouth and ends at your anus. So, what does that mean? That means that your gut is literally affected by everything that you are putting in your mouth, because obviously this is where it starts and that is where it ends. So if we're having any sort of problems with digestion, constipation, bloating, pain in our abdomen, or anything like that, we can be sure that there's something going on with our gut that isn't good, right? We have some form of metabolic syndrome. We have some form of metabolic dysfunction going on, and this is going to make it so that we cannot reach our optimal health. Why? Because guess what, guys? Your gut is your second brain. 70% of your immune system is in your gut. So, as you could tell, most of our symptoms that we have on a daily basis, and I know that a lot of people, what they want to do is put a patch on it, right? We think that hormone problems are over here. We think that mood issues are over here. We think that having a hard time losing weight is a problem over here. And what a lot of doctors and a lot of people in the health and wellness industry want to do is put band aids on it. And this isn't the best way to approach it, right? Because if you want to actually see a difference in your health and actually feel better and have that actually last, then we have to get to the root. We have to solve the foundation of the problem. I know for me, this has been a huge part of my healing journey, because I was like, I'm so sick of just treating symptoms. You know what I mean? Like, why are we constantly just looking for something to put a band aid on? Because it's not actually going to help me. I keep getting more and more problems. I had this happen when I got my first health diagnosis. I was literally in my early 20s and I was diagnosed with hypothyroid. And people were telling me, "Oh yeah, you just have to get on a thyroid medication, everything's going to be okay," right? And I tried that. And guess what? It didn't solve my problems, because I was putting a band-aid on the problem. It wasn't going to alleviate all of my symptoms because I wasn't getting to the root of the issue. Okay, so of course, I kept accumulating more and more symptoms, more and more problems, because it didn't solve my problem. And that led me to doing my own research and learning more about what is it really that I need to focus on that's actually going to get to the root of the problem. And that is when I discovered gut health. That is when I dived headfirst into studying and researching gut health. And at the time I was like, I wonder if this really is going to make a difference. Okay, well, the only thing I can really do is give it a try. I'm going to do all of these things to improve my gut health, and then at least I'll know if it actually works, right? So, what are some common things that people are doing on a daily basis, and things that I was doing that were messing up my gut microbiome and that were disrupting my gut health? Number one is being overloaded with stress constantly. How many people do you know who are currently stressed out in your life? Probably every single person is going to raise their hand, because we all have stress. It just comes in different forms. I did a live the other day talking about stress, and so many people resonated with it because it is the most common thing in this modern society. We cannot avoid stress. We have our physical stress, we have emotional stresses, and we have chemical stresses. These are the three main ones that I talk about all the time because I know a lot of people, they think, oh, yeah, stress is just, um, when you're stressed at work, right? But you have stress that comes in so many forms, right? You can be an athlete who's overtraining, that's stress. You can be someone like, let's say you're a new mom, right? And you have less sleep now. Now you have to take care of a baby. Even though that's a positive experience for most mothers, their body is undergoing tons of stress, right? And then we have the stress of being exposed to pollution. We have the stresses that come from eating processed foods. We have the exposure to chemicals, heavy metals, and things like that in the water. We are constantly bombarded with toxins and chemicals every single day. And guess what this does? It stresses the body. It causes your inflammation to raise in the body. Now we're dealing with more inflammation. And because of this, guess what this does? This causes a lot of people to crave food that is going to give them a dopamine hit because they want to feel better quickly. Once again, another band-aid that we're putting on a deeper problem. And then we exacerbate the problem. We make it worse because now, instead of getting to the root of the issue, now we're going back again to, oh, I want to just feel better right now, right now, right now. But we're not thinking about, is this actually going to be better for me now and later? Right? So, like I said, stress is one of the biggest ones. So we have to become aware of what are the things in my life right now that are stressing me out. And how can I be intentional about decreasing my stress levels in these three areas? Right? If you know right now that you have a ton of symptoms, like you have low energy, you're dealing with weight loss resistance, you have a hard time losing fat, if you are currently dealing with brain fog, bloating, constipation, hormonal issues, autoimmune issues, thyroid problems, you name it, pain, any pain in anywhere, right? Headaches, anything. This is a sign that your body needs some love and care. And I can tell you right now, 99% of the time, you're going to have to focus on your gut first. Because guess what? Any other therapy that you add, if you don't address the root issue, isn't going to work as effectively. So that is why we always have to start with our gut health. It is the second brain. It's the command center of your body. So if you really want to go to the next level and you want to feel good, you want to alleviate your symptoms for good, then we need to start with our gut, right? So I already mentioned stress is a big culprit for what disrupts our gut. Some other things that disrupt our gut are obviously inflammatory foods. This comes in the form of refined sugars, also any preservatives or artificial colors and flavors and sweeteners, right? All of these things cause basically a killing off of your good bacteria. Once again, adding more inflammation to the body. And on top of that, we have any sort of fast foods or highly processed foods like seed oils and stuff like that, right? That's pretty much in everything nowadays. It causes inflammation because the body is not going to recognize these things as the best fuel source because, once again, they're highly processed. The way that we should be consuming food, right, is to go through the least amount of processing as possible. So the body can recognize that food as information because that's what food is. When we're consuming food every single day, we are not feeding our bodies, mind you. We are feeding our bacteria that then send signals to the rest of our body to let our body know that we're either getting the nutrients that we need or we're not. We're absorbing the vitamins and minerals that we need or we're not. These are the things that, once again, if we don't address, lead to dis-ease. Dis-ease is not something that we just get overnight. Dis-ease happens in the body when the body is not in a place of ease anymore because why? because it's been screaming to you through your symptoms, please pay attention to me. I'm in pain. I need this. I need attention, right? And instead of acknowledging them most of the time, we band-aid the problems. We ignore it. And we even do it in a way that is celebrated by many people in this industry, in the wellness industry. Why? Because they'll tell you, oh, you're low energy, just drink caffeine. Just take an energy drink, right? Oh, or you're feeling like in my situation, oh, you have a thyroid problem? Oh, just take a thyroid hormone. But what you're not understanding is that thyroid, that's not where the problem started. The problem started with an overloading of stress that affects your adrenal glands, and now your adrenal glands are stressed, and then the thyroid now has a problem. So technically, shouldn't we go back to the original problem, which is the stress that affected my gut health, that affected the chain of events that has now created all of these symptoms that I'm having, right? So once again, these are all things that you learn when you go through painful experiences. And then I know that I'm sure many of you guys watching this right now, right? And you're dealing with any of the symptoms that I've already mentioned, and you're wanting to feel better because it's normal when you don't feel good to look for a way to feel better. So if you're on here right now and you're like, I want to feel better, awesome, right? You're in the right place. You're looking for answers. You're seeking out an answer. That's a good place to start. But the next thing is, I want you to ask yourself this question. Is what I'm doing right now, or what I'm going to choose to do to improve my health, am I choosing something that's not only going to benefit me right now and make me feel better right now, but it's actually going to help me in the long term also? Because we don't need to be doing anything right now that's only going to make us feel better right now and cause more problems down the road. We need to be doing things now that make us feel good, that relieve our pain, or at least start to relieve our pain, and is going to benefit us down the line, right? This is going to bring me back once again to the Vibe Challenge, which is why I got on here today to talk about this. Because as a coach for over 8 years now, I've studied nutrition, I've studied fitness, I've been in the supplement industry, and I've seen it, guys. I've seen it all. I have coached people, athletes, elderly, children, people with autoimmune, all sorts of health problems, and even dealing with this myself, right? That's a whole nother thing, right? When you go through these problems yourself, you sure learn a lot, right? And what I learned was every single person who was having problems with losing weight, pain, inflammation, not feeling good, low energy, it all stemmed back to the foundation of health. That is what inspired the creation of Vibe, because Vibe was created with the vision of creating more holistic wellness and getting to the root of wellness, and that is your gut, right? Let's address what is really going on here. And it's not even just gut health, right? Because where did we start with all of this? Stress. Stress is the number one cause of all illnesses, right? All diseases. So what do we need in this world? We need to decrease our overall stress, right? And I understand that stress isn't only coming from our health, right? It's not just coming from the food. It's coming from the emotional stresses in our life. It's coming from our lack of ability to create boundaries with people in our life. It's coming from surrounding ourselves with the wrong people. It's coming from financial struggles, right? So Vibe isn't just about a product, right? It's not just something that I take and I'm like, woohoo, I'm healing my gut, because this is part of the picture, obviously, is a big part of it, right? That's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how can I heal my gut, right? Because that is the foundation. But guess what else? Vibe also has opportunity to make more money, because I understand people are needing more financial security and independence so they can decrease their stress levels. People need quality community and people around them so that they can have less stress, so that they don't feel alone, so that they don't have to have constant negativity in their ear, that they can actually have positive influence, that they can have people who support them and want to see them win. These are all important, right? We'll talk about that stuff more in the future. But for today, like I said, we're talking about mainly gut health, right? We have already discussed the main disruptors for our gut health and how we can or at least look into ways, right, that we can decrease our stress, right? If you are having constant symptoms, don't be overtraining, right? How can you create better boundaries in your life so that you're not constantly stressing out? How can you add more fun into your life, more gratitude into your life so that you can start to bring down those stress levels? And then what is the next step? The next step is, okay, what steps can I add to my life? What can I add now that I've taken away some things that I know are not good for me, right? So I can remove the anti-inflammatory foods. I can remove toxic people from my life. And then now I can start adding in healthy things that are actually going to make a difference, right? And one of those is going to be Vibe. Why is Vibe so powerful for healing our gut? Because there's some things that your gut needs in order to function properly. One of them is pre and probiotics. We already know this, right? It's trendy. Everybody talks about probiotics are so good for your health, right? Oh, probiotics are so good for your gut. But what a lot of people don't talk about is how important it is to have the prebiotics and the probiotics, because probiotics are amazing for helping build up that good bacteria. But if you're not giving those probiotics the food, then you're not going to be able to keep and maintain those probiotics throughout your entire digestive system, right? Because we want them to survive so that we can keep the healthy balance of bacteria. Why is this so important? Because once again, we eat to feed our bacteria, because the bacterial balance in our gut is what determines the health of the body. So you can see how important that is. So when we have the right amount of healthy bacteria in our body, now we can absorb minerals. Now we can absorb the vitamins. Now we're actually getting the vital nutrients that we need to get from the food. Once again, the reason we eat food is to get nutrition, not just so that we can have food that tastes good. Of course, we want food that tastes good, but ultimately, the food that you choose, we eat because we have to get those necessary vital nutrients and things that we need in order to keep our body healthy and thriving, right? So once again, that is why the creation of the product really was focused around, once again, how can we create an environment for a healthy gut? Because that, of course, is the key, right? Next, we're going to talk about collagen. Collagen is another one of the top ingredients inside of Vibe. Collagen is the most abundant form of protein in your body. Collagen is another trendy ingredient out there that people talk about, but what people don't talk about often is the combination of ingredients and why that's so important. Like I said earlier, why do we need pre and probiotics? Because they build on one another. Collagen just happens to be an amino acid and a group and a bunch of amino acids that help with repair of all parts of your body. Your skin, your hair, your nails, your gut, your muscles, your ligaments, your joints. All of these things require amino acids. Collagen is one of the number one when it comes to repairing your body in that way. Okay? And on top of that, collagen just happens to be something that helps you with protein synthesis. In other words, consuming collagen makes it easier for your body to actually utilize the protein that you're consuming. How about that for a win-win, right? Collagen makes it easier for my body now to repair my gut lining because I'm getting the amino acids I need to actually repair my body, right? So now we have collagen, we have pre and probiotics. So we're repairing the gut, we're giving it what it needs to have a healthy balance so that we can finally start to heal, okay? And then what was the next thing? The next thing was, okay, I understand that most people out there are energy deficient. Most people are addicted to caffeine because a lot of people are dealing with mitochondrial dysfunction, right? And basically what that means is your cells are not generating the energy that they need because they're inflamed. All of your cells are inflamed. That is why people have autoimmune. That is why so many people are having symptoms even when they put their band-aids on their problems, even when you're taking medications, even when you're taking all these things, right? Why are we still feeling low energy? Because our cells are fatigued, right? So, how can we give ourselves a natural energy boost without negatively impacting our body, our hormones, and our health overall? We do that by introducing low amounts of healthy, natural caffeine. And once again, here we come back to our combination ingredients. We have guarana seed extract, natural form of caffeine, and we've combined that with L-theanine. This is a match made in heaven for your nervous system. Because once again, we get that energy boost from the guarana extract. With a small amount of caffeine, it still gives you mental clarity, natural energy, a clear mind. And now we have L-theanine that comes in to stabilize your energy levels throughout the day. So now we have no crash, no jitters, and we're supporting our nervous system, which is what is attacked when you are doing caffeine. Caffeine obviously is going to increase your cortisol levels, right? But when you combine that with the right ingredients, now we don't have to deal with that. Now we're not messing up our hormones because we're jolting ourselves with tons of stimulants and we're messing up again, going back to those adrenal glands. Those are responsible for producing the energy, right? That initial energy. That's what gets taxed when you overdo caffeine. And I've talked about this in lives before. Women are more affected by large doses of caffeine over time than men. Why? Because a lot of our hormones, specifically testosterone, are produced in your adrenal glands. And when you burn out your adrenal glands with overdoing stress and overdoing caffeine, now you can't produce the same amount of hormones anymore. Now you have hormonal issues. So many people are dealing with hormonal problems nowadays, and they don't know why, right? Once again, we're going back to those stresses. Adrenal glands are responsible for so many things in the body. Men have more testosterone, and that testosterone is supportive of them being able to manage stress better and for their body to literally metabolize stress hormones more effectively than women, right? So once again, we have to educate ourselves on these things because we are biologically different, and in order to thrive in the body that we are born in, right, then we want to become aware of these things so that we can feel our best, right? So once again, we have guarana, we have L-theanine, match made in heaven for natural, sustainable energy that makes you feel incredible today and doesn't hurt our body in the long term, right? We're going back to what I said earlier. If you're taking something right now, right? If I'm taking an energy drink that has 250, 300 milligrams of caffeine, and I'm like, woo, I feel over the moon because I have energy now. Okay, well, what is that doing for you long term? Right? Are we doing more damage than good? Those are the questions you have to ask yourself. So feel good now and don't hurt myself later. Okay, so that was the reasoning behind creating something that's a natural energy source that is good for you. It's going to make you feel great, and it's not going to jack up your nervous system. Okay, alrighty, now we get to talk about the metabolism aspect of this, right? Because this product is called a metabolic support product for a reason. It's going to help all aspects of your metabolism as well as your metabolic health. Once again, I have seen year after year after year coaching clients how many people struggle with losing fat. How many people would benefit from having a natural ingredient that they can consume every day that's not only going to make them burn more calories, but it's going to help them specifically target fat loss. Because there's a lot of stuff on the market right now that will claim to make you lose weight, right? Lose weight fast. But it's not just about losing weight. If you're losing weight, you could be losing water weight. You could be losing muscle tissue. And that's not a good thing. We don't want to be touching our muscle. Why? Because if we lose muscle, now we're hurting ourselves again. Now we're back again to negatively impacting our health in the future. We need to maintain our muscle mass. So whatever it is that we're taking needs to be focused on fat loss, not just weight loss, right? So the two ingredients, once again, combination ingredients. We have calorie burn and CLA. CLA is a fat metabolizer. So basically what it does is it helps the body metabolize fat easier, making it so that your body can take your fat stores and actually utilize them for energy. This is super important because when you're on a fat loss journey, like I said, maybe you're eating in a caloric deficit, maybe you're exercising a lot, but if your body's stressed, it's going to burn muscle before it touches your fat. So if we can take something that's going to actually help our body, right? And say, don't touch my muscle, please. Target my fat. Now we're benefiting ourselves in a positive way, even if we do have some residual stress going on, right? And then we have our patented calorie burn formula, scientifically proven to make you burn more calories just from consuming it. Stimulant-free fat burner. This is incredible for fat loss, guys. Like literally, this is a match made in heaven. That's why I talk about all the time. CLA with calorie burn. Why? Because CLA helps you shift to fat burning, and now we have calorie burn, increasing the amount of calories you're burning every day. This is literally revving your metabolism. And how does it do that? It does it by targeting your brown adipose tissue. Quick lesson on fat. There is a difference between white fat and brown fat. Brown fat is more thermogenic, meaning it makes you burn more calories, right? White fat is the fat that you don't want because it stores toxins and it causes inflammation, right? So once again, calorie burn is going to make it stimulates your brown fat, making it more thermogenic, meaning now you're turning your body more into a fat burning machine. Right? So we're burning more and more and more calories every day. Another cool thing about this that I so love is the fact that it targets our visceral fat. The fat that is the main culprit for most diseases that are related to excess fat. Because visceral fat is the fat that surrounds our organs, right? Causes tons of inflammation. That's the same type of fat that your doctors are always telling you, you don't want stubborn belly fat. You don't want fat around your organs because that is the stuff that causes inflammation and illness, right? So obviously, when I learned about these things and when I was studying these ingredients and learning about this, I'm like, guys, this is so incredibly powerful. People need to learn. They need to hear about this, right? Because now, once again, in the past, I was having to take all of these ingredients separately, right? I was buying my fiber. I was trying to eat more fiber every single day to make sure that I was getting my prebiotics. I was buying my probiotics. And then on top of that, I'm like, okay, trying to find all these natural ways to boost my energy, trying to balance with my nervous system, trying to find things that would help me with my fat loss, but not make me lose my muscle tissue. And then, of course, I was purchasing my collagen, all these things separately. I was spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars, guys. There were some months I was spending $500 on supplements. This is absurd. I should not have to spend this much on supplements. So now I was like, obviously what I should do is we should create something that combines all of the main aspects of health and nutrition that people are struggling with, that's actually going to, once again, target the foundation of what people are struggling with so that they can solve the problem while they're also feeling amazing, right? Because it's not going to hurt you down the line. Because I understand people in this generation want things fast. People are addicted to instant gratification. People nowadays, it's very, very few and far between the amount of people that understand delayed gratification, right? So we have to understand then that we need to create something, right? That we need to understand how our brain works. We need to feel good now, but don't let that be the thing that stops you from healing because you only care about feeling good now. Choose something that feels good now and helps you in the long term. Okay. So anyways, I hope I sold you on that, because the product itself is absolutely powerful when it comes to natural fat loss, energy production, healing the gut, giving you the necessary amino acids that you need, helping control your blood sugar levels. This helps with so many things. Hormone production, all of the above. Because when we get to the root, when we go to the foundation, things change, guys. So, the 30-day vibe challenge, how do you join? You join by going to the link, which I've already posted on, of course, I'm on multiple platforms right now. So I have the link posted in my link tree, which is available on TikTok, Instagram, and I believe I still have to post it on Facebook as well as YouTube, because I have people watching from all of the different platforms. Okay. So once again, if you're wanting to join, you get started and you join this challenge by one, purchasing your bag of product, because you need your product in order to have an even better transformation. Okay. On top of that, what's going to come along with the product during this 30-day challenge is a set of guidelines, a how-to, a step-by-step guide of what habits you need to implement every single day that are absolutely going to change your health and change your life, because they're habits that sometimes people overlook. They're habits that sometimes people forget, maybe don't even know about, that actually move the needle forward in your health. And they're not things that are so unsustainable that you can't continue to do them moving forward. It's not something that you only do once because you're like, okay, well, this was a fun challenge, but it's not something that I can do every single day, right? It's not something that I can sustain. That's the problem that I have with so many challenges out there, so many diet culture plans and cookie cutter things that people do, is that it's not sustainable. People are not setting you up for success, because all they want is once again, to get you a result now, because they understand your instant gratification mind, and all of us have it, but they don't care about your long-term health. They're just trying to sell you something. Once again, I'm letting you guys know a lot of how this industry works. Do your research. Learn about what is actually good for your body so that you're not falling into these traps. There's a lot of people out there that just want to take your money, and there's a lot of people that don't actually care about your long-term health. So for me, it's not just about creating something that's going to give you quick results, woohoo, and get you addicted to it. It's something that makes you feel good and is sustainable and is something that will last the test of time. Because that, to me, is foundational health. That, to me, is what people should start teaching. Because now we don't have to have so many people suffering and struggling because they cannot maintain a crazy lifestyle. Everyone thinks, oh, I have to be working out 6-7 days a week in order to be healthy and fit. Absolutely not. It's really not as crazy as most people think it is. Being a healthy person is not as hard as most people think it is. Okay? So I think I've already touched on a lot of the specifics about gut health and why the product helps with gut health specifically. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I really wanted to share on that topic of gut health, because I've already talked about disruptors. I've already talked about what you need to do if you want to heal your gut, certain things that you can add into your lifestyle to, of course, improve your gut health. But once again, the 30-day vibe challenge is a kickstart for that. And it is something that you can do for 30 days, because I know how many people are going to notice a difference, not only in the first week, but in 4 weeks, you're going to feel significantly better. And then you're going to want to continue. So it's going to be the last challenge that you ever have to do, because you're going to be healthy. You don't have to do that unless, of course, you want to for fun, right? But you're not going to have to do any more of these challenges because you're going to be a healthy person. You're going to already have your toolkit and your resources that you need to be the healthiest version of yourself. It's literally that simple. I'm going to give some time now for questions. Like I said, I have a lot of platforms open right now, so I'm going to go kind of one by one. I have YouTube here, Instagram, Facebook, as well as TikTok, okay? So let me just take a sip of my tea because I've been talking a lot. Okie dokie, I think I'm going to go ahead and start with Instagram, okay? We just had a couple comments from Instagram. I don't really see a ton of questions. Okie dokie. Nope, just a bunch of comments over on Instagram. Thank you guys for the engagement. Appreciate it. Okay. I don't see any from, let's see, we got YouTube here. No specific comments there. All right, we're going to go ahead and move to TikTok now. All right, let's see. All right, TikTok, what questions do you got for me about the challenge or that are related to health? Give me a second, guys. I got to scroll through quite a few of these comments. All right. Some people asking for the link. Okay. Sorry, guys. There's a lot of comments. I got to go through a lot, so give me a second. Okay. I appreciate the engagement. Lots of supportive comments here, but once again, I'm looking specifically for questions. Okay, we have a question asking about specifically how to get rid of beer belly, which is basically just a lot of excess belly fat. I've noticed specifically that is obviously a lot more common in men when they drink a lot of beer, right? That's the typical thing that happens, let's say after the age of 35 or 40 when they start to get more abdominal fat, and it happens a lot quicker. And this is because of a drop in testosterone, obviously a lot of changes in hormones, and bad lifestyle habits catching up with you. So what is this person's asking, what can you do about that? Well, of course, what I kind of already mentioned here today, which is obviously, am I making changes to my lifestyle that are healthy? Am I adding in movement? Am I being aware of what I'm eating? All these things are going to make a big difference. And then, of course, adding in healthy supplementation will help significantly. Healthy probiotics, prebiotics, making sure you're getting those nutrients that the body needs in order to be healthy, right? So everything comes back to creating that healthy foundational lifestyle. And of course, you have to cut out those things. It's not something, if you're drinking beer every day, then of course you're going to have a problem, right? So make sure that you are doing things in moderation, and even temporarily, maybe it's best if you even cut it out, right? Okie dokie. I think that's all we have for now. Let me just double check the bottom because we had a lot of comments come in toward the end. All right. think we are good. Just someone asking about the tea specifically. The tea that I'm drinking right now is a combination of turmeric and licorice root and ginger. Very anti-inflammatory. Warm liquids are very healthy for your gut, so I like to sip on tea throughout the day. All right. I see that that's pretty much all the questions. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for the engagement today. Once again, I hope that this information gave you some value and understanding about your health. So once again, if you guys are interested, I do have links posted in my link tree for those of you who are on TikTok and Instagram. I will post links on Facebook as well as YouTube for those who want to sign up for the 30-day Vibe Challenge. Or if you're not even interested in just the Vibe Challenge, maybe you're interested in trying the product. Once again, available on the website. Okay? Thank you guys so much, and I will see you again tomorrow. Bye.